Yes, hello, Nikita, yes? Привет, меня зовут Нил, но я не очень хорошо говорю по-русски.
Now
Я буду
riding
попробовать
Wu
делать.
from China, riding Kongji Duhinkong.
Sound девушка не здесь? О, елки-палки, елки-палки. Only works Fridays. Ёшкин кот и елки-палки. Мы в Рио-де-Жанейро. Good afternoon, my name is Neil Harvey and this is coverage of the Modern Pentathlon Stage 2 of this year's World Cup Series. Yesterday we had all the excitement at the women's event and today it's the turn of the men to fight it out here in Rio de Janeiro. So let's catch up with what's taken place in the morning's action. 2 events already completed and they started with the fencing. 36 competitors, 35 one-minute bouts. The first hit takes the victory. It's fast and it's furious. And it was a day in which it went very much to form for the fencing specialists. Adam Marashi, always one of the favourites in the World Cup circuit. And he would finish in 6th place after the fencing. 20 victories, 880 points for the Hungarian. David Svoboda, again, always one of the fancied contenders. Slightly less than he would have hoped for, though, in the fencing on this occasion. The Czech, with 18 victories, putting him in 13th place, just 832 points, but not a disaster. Alexander Lesun, well, he doesn't look very happy, and there's a good reason, because he comes here in fantastic form after victory in Palm Springs last month, but he's an elite fencer, not showing it to the maximum on this occasion. Lesun, 6th place, very good for most, but for Lesun, disappointing. 20 victories, not up to his usual standard, just 880 points for him. His compatriot, Ilya Frolov, outgunning him on this occasion. Frolov, relatively good by his standards. 13th place, 18 victories, again in contention. This is the man who looks like, and you can see it in his face, he's feeling good, Sergei Karyakin. 2nd place on the piece, 25 victories, that's an excellent result for Karyakin. And he's a man who, if he gets off to a good start, could be very hard to keep up with. And Jean Beru, as you see there, World Cup final winner of 2008. And he would finish in 3rd place after the fencing with 22 victories. And very pleased with his performance, you can see. Next up, Mikhail Mitsuk, European Junior Champion. 9th place after the fencing, 19 victories. For the Belarusian, but it's Robert Kassa of Hungary, an outstanding 28 victories, who finishes in 1st place. Lithuania's Kinga is there in 3rd. The veteran, always there and thereabouts. And there is indeed the man I was talking about, Robert Kassa. Outstanding result, 28 victories. You can't do much more than that. And it puts him in top spot after the first event. And you can see what it means.
Emotions, of course, there's a lot of emotions, because if you fence good, it's a good taste in your mouth. And you know, it was very hard today, but actually every fight I took some ice in my head. I'm so wet, and I just did my best.
Is how they look after the first event. Kassa doing his best, and it was more than enough. Gives him a good advantage going towards the pool. Svoboda still in touch there in 13th place. Nothing won or lost at this stage. And things can very quickly change once they go to the pool. The heat's graded, remember, according to ability. 200 meters freestyle. A very, very good time for any of these gentlemen would be 2 minutes or under. Not many will achieve that. As we look at heat 4, the Russian gentleman in there, Karyakin and Lesun. Karyakin a much faster swimmer though than Lesun, and Lesun, after the disappointing fence, would be aware that he was likely to lose more time here. He'd be trying to keep touch with Karyakin, but based on their personal best, that would be very difficult for the world #1 to do. So a PB for Karyakin, and that really does put him slap banging with a chance of winning this whole thing after 2 events.
Egypt, lane 6, Han, China, lane 7.
And as we go to heat 5 now, Nicholas Woodbridge, a very, very fast swimmer, a sub 2 minute 0 swimmer at his very best. Also in here, Jean Beru, 3rd after the fence. looking to maintain his high position. And Woodbridge would prove why he's such a good swimmer. First place for the Brit. Baru, 6th fastest. Pretty good from the Frenchman, and it puts him in 4th place at the halfway stage.
Today, for the moment, it's very good because fencing is very difficult for me. But today, I did a good fencing. I have a good feeling. It's the same in the swimming. Yesterday, I swam in Ipanema in the waves, and I think it's good for me.
So these are the standings, and it's Robert Casa who leads the way. Top in the fencing, a great swim. Anything around 2 minutes is impressive. Rosazilia Frolov, he'd be hoping to have been a bit closer. A minute at 18 down, of course, everything changed oh so quickly in the riding section. And as we look down the leaderboard, they might be down, but they're certainly not out. As we saw in the women's event yesterday, it can all change so fast. 3-4 knockdowns, and suddenly you can go from top to bottom. So that's what happened over this morning in Rio de Janeiro, and the pentathletes now geared up for the riding section. The lower half of the field have already competed, and that brings us into the top half now, starting with number 18. It's in reverse order in the riding section. Number 18 now, Petroni, looking to gain ground.
And now riding Petroni from Italy, riding horse Januária do Rincão.
Now Petroni, a man in fantastic form last year. He pays his salute to the judges. Gets ready to begin his round. Finished top 10 in every event he competed in last year. He was really in great form. So let's see, can the gentlemen fare any better than the ladies did yesterday? Really found this a tough course. And a mistake at the first, not the start he would have wanted. Looks like there's been a touch of rain in Rio. The ground looking quite soft and heavy. I'm not sure if that's going to help. Clip that one. The 25-year-old's doing well, though. This is a good ride. It's steady, not going too fast. He's giving due consideration to each of these fences. Oh, and it had been looking so good. Really messy there just as he comes towards the finish. Oh, and sloppy at the last. Such a shame, he'd ridden really well.
Petroni from Italy made 1 minute and 11 seconds. Obstacle penalties 120, and total points so far 3,148. And now riding, we have Gebhardt from Germany, riding Lanús do Rincão.
Yeah, 3 knockdowns there for Petroni. The scoreboard getting that slightly wrong, but corrected there by the announcer. So An average ride from Petroni, looked like he was going to do better. Let's see how Gebhardt can do. It's a good start from Gebhardt, started in 17th place. And so far, well, the men are looking a little more competent than the women did. Well, he's making it over. He doesn't look particularly comfortable on the horse, but he got through that combination quite nicely. As I always say, no points for style. It's all about getting round in one piece. But he is starting to rack up the penalties now. And very quickly from nowhere, he's ended up with 5
from
down.
Germany, riding time, 1 minute and 1 second. Obstacle penalties, 200 points. Total points in the competition so far, 3,084. You are now in 5th place.
And is this going to be another of those days where the clear rounds are going to be very few and far between? Yesterday we saw just the 2 clear rounds from 36
and now
riders
riding,
in the women's event.
Micic from Belarus riding Lindaura do Rincão.
And ultimately one of those clear rounds belonged to the winner. So this could be a great opportunity for somebody to make up some real ground in this competition. Will it be Mikhail Mitsuk? Belarusian in 16th place after the first 2 events. And apologies there for the brief loss of picture. Nothing missed. Took clear over the first and the second. And there's the first mistake. 25 years old, Mikhail Mitsuk, 11th at the European Championships last year. And this is good. This is very good. He's halfway round. And this is the kind of ride, if he can just keep this together, that can move you up half a dozen more places up the leaderboard. Did well to get over those. Didn't look in complete control going into that double, but he did make it, and very unlucky that just caught the final gate there, and 2 knockdowns. But from what we've seen so far, that's not bad.
Micic from Belarus, riding time, 1 minute. Obstacle penalties, 120 points.
Time was good as well.
Total points in the competition so far, 3,164. You are in 3rd place. So far in the competition, we have Evans from Great Britain in 1st, Pat from France in 2nd, Micic from Belarus in 3rd, Petroni from Italy in 4th, and Tiboya from Hungary in 5th.
Very interesting, as
and
we
now
heard there from
riding,
the announcer,
we have
Evans has made
Fedechko
his
from
way
Ukraine
up.
riding Levantus do Rincão.
Evans, who finished 3rd in Palm Springs last month. Disastrous start to the day for him in the fencing. 32nd from 36. Looked like he was out of contention. Perhaps he's thrust himself right back up there. And we move on to Yuri Fedechko, Ukrainian, the latest to try and get a clear round. We've yet to see one from the few we've seen so far from the top half of the field. Will Fedechko be the first? Looks good, looks confident, looks in control. There goes the first, and it's quickly followed by another. Going for speed is going to be a quick time, but if he keeps knocking down the poles, it's not going to do him any good. For each one of those that goes down like that, you're talking about 10 seconds in real time. And well, you can go that fast, but it really doesn't help you when you knock down that many posts. For maybe
Pentathlon from Ukraine, time 57 seconds. Obstacle penalties, 240 points.
There you go, 6
Total
knockdowns.
points so far, 3,060. You are in 10th place.
The scoreboard a little slow to catch up, but you could count them yourself, and it was a lot in the end. 240 penalty points. No good going around that fast if you're going to lose a minute overall in penalties. In Pentathlon, that's a bad round for him. So Mitsuk, with the 2 knockdowns, seems to be setting the standard so far. And next up, it's one of the strong Russian team, Ilya Frolov.
Oh man, I'm just chilling, man, just living my life, you know. Hey, but where started though? I don't know, let's set him up. Well, you already know what I'm on. What's wrong, brother? Let's get it. Let's go. My name is Star.
And now riding, Frolov from Russia, riding Formosura do Rincão.
Certainly looking smart in his red jacket. His hero, Roman Abramovich. Here goes the 28-year-old. Now what would he pay for a clear round here, because it really would make a difference in this competition. But he doesn't look confident. The horse very slow over that second fence, very slow. This doesn't look very good at all for Ilya Frolov. If you take those first few jumps as anything to go by, this is going to get bad and fairly quickly. Well, I say that, it's ugly, but it's effective. He's almost hopping over there. Very slow over the ground, but perhaps this is the tactic. Very, very slow and very careful to just pop it over each fence, and it's working so far. So, has Ilya Frolov come up with a masterful game plan? It's slow and it's steady. There's going to be time penalties, but it's only 1 knockdown so far, and he's almost finished. Well, and that's a shame. Frolov with 2 knockdowns in the end. It's a slow time.
Frolov from Russia, time 1 minute 15 seconds. Obstacle penalties 80 points. Time penalties 32. Total points so far in the competition 3,188.
So 32
you are
time
now
penalties,
in second place.
Almost the equivalent of 3 knockdowns. Frolov clearly with a game plan there. He's seen how much people have struggled. The women having a terrible time out on the riding course yesterday. The men struggling not quite so bad today, but not having a good time of it. Frolov has decided he's just going to try and get round in one piece.
Riding Podige
Did
from
it work?
Italy,
Well, we'll see
riding
after
Legenda do
we've
Rincão.
understood how the other riders have fared. Next up, the Italian, Podige. '16th after the fencing, 11th in the pool, but some 13th overall. So it's been steady. He's on Legenda. Should give him confidence. Great name for the horse. Will he live up to it? down goes the first. It was a good start, but he got to the third, and there's the first knockdown. I was just seeing so few of the riders able to get round the first half dozen fences without any penalties. And that's the problem when you're going through the combination. If you catch the first or the second, invariably another follows. And another 80 penalties are added on in space of just a few seconds. Well, it's that ominous sound, the clatter behind. Padiga knows it's 4 down now. Time not bad though. But he's another one who couldn't get round.
From Italy, time 1 minute 3 seconds.
4 penalties there.
Obstacle
4
penalties,
knockdowns.
160 points. Total points in the competition so far, 3,148. You are in 6th place.
And just looking at the leaderboard, the top couple with a decent advantage over the rest, Kassa and Karyakin. And if the riders behind them continue like this, dropping this many penalties, 3-4 knockdowns, losing 30-40 seconds, a good performance from either of those would give them a huge advantage as they head to the combined. It's interesting if you look at the profiles of all of the pentathletes as to what are their favourite events. Most of them will put down they prefer the fencing, a very skillful event, but a lot excel in it. Next up, usually the swimming, and you'd be hard pushed to find anybody who lists the riding as their favourite events. And that just shows that if you are a specialist in riding, you really can make up a lot of ground. The sun is out. Average temperature usually in the mid-80s in Rio at this time of year. But the pentathletes, they have been suffering in the heat outdoors. And you do wonder what's causing all these problems. Every single one of these horses, by all accounts, very good standard. They're all tested. They're all considered up to scratch for the jumping, and maybe the argument could be made that it's the riders who aren't quite up to the standard of the horses. Difficult, of course, to be a specialist in all the events, and as I've said before, it's a good all-rounder who'll do well in the modern pentathlon, test of all-round skills. But a specialist on the horse, well, they really would be having a field day on an occasion like this where so many people are struggling. There's a little pause in the action as we wait for the next rider to appear. It's one of the big guns though. It's David Svoboda up next. Spectators enjoying the occasion. A little bit of a lull in proceedings, but the weather's good, the music's playing. And it's a good chance for competitors and the spectators who like to savour this atmosphere, because in 3 years' time they'll be doing it all over again, but on an arguably bigger occasion. Of course, the Olympic Games coming to Rio de Janeiro in 2016. This will be the venue. And if the course plays as difficult then as it is over this weekend, we'll be in for a very dramatic Olympic modern pentathlon. So let's just have a look at David Svoboda. He should be up next. Svoboda, the Czech athlete, the Olympic champion from London 2012. Just turned 28, his birthday last week. A military officer. That's bound to keep him in good shape, and not many people know he's got an identical twin who is also a bit of an athlete. He performs in Ironman competitions. Now, that title last year at the Olympics for Svoboda, it's part of a pattern because he's won a major title each year in the last 4 seasons. Looking further back, he was the European champion in 2010, which just makes you wonder, which big title will it be for him this year? Acceptable start for him in Palm Springs in the first World Cup Series event last month. Finished 12th overall. And there you can see some of the other riders in the top 11 warming up, getting ready to compete. They get just the 20 minutes. That's the warm-up arena where they get acquainted with their horse. They get the 5 practice jumps. And here comes David Svoboda. Bit of a delay. Let's hope for him there were no problems, because there were 1 or 2 tricky customers in the riding yesterday.
Waiting now for the warm-up time for the athletes that are still doing their warm-up. And while that will tell you the results so far. First place, Evans from Great Britain with 3,188 points. In second, Frolov from Russia, 3,188 points. And in third place, Pat Christopher from France.
And as you heard
and
there,
now riding,
Joseph
we have
Evans, who we haven't seen ride,
Czech Republic,
because he was down in 28th place after the fencing and swimming. Terrible morning for the young Brit. Just 32nd place after the fencing. An OK swim 9th, but he's made up now with obviously a very good performance in the riding. It shot him up the leaderboard, and it could see him in the top handful the way things are going. So here's the Olympic champion. Svoboda makes a good start. He made his weight. Is it going to be worth it? Well, he looks the part. Very well turned out, but not performing that way so far. 2 early knockdowns. Oh, and he gives the horse a bit of the whip, and obviously feeling a little tension. Feeling the horse needs some encouragement. Well to pick the horse a little close to that last fence. Did well to pick its hind legs up and just make it over. Well done, David Svoboda. Experience showing there, I suspect. A couple of early knockdowns.
Svoboda from Czech Republic, time 1 minute 3 seconds.
Did well
Obstacle
to
penalties,
keep it
120 points. Total points so far, 3,212. You are now in first place.
And that says everything. 3 knockdowns, but the way it's been going, good enough to put him top of the leaderboard. Just a gentle tap of the whip there, giving the horse some encouragement. Obviously feeling it was a little sluggish going over the fences.
And now riding,
A little
from
kiss there to
France,
say thank you at the
riding
end, I see.
Elegancia do Rincão.
in 11th place. The Frenchman, Valentin Prade. Eighth last month in Palm Springs. Now I think that this man is a big talent. Just 20 years old, good fencer, and he's good in the combined. So this will be a pivotal round for him. By his standards, it was a pretty good swim as well. That's probably his weakest event. But he finished in 17th, so he's banging contention. And a good round here. I really do fancy this man. We could see him up on the podium. And it's a beautiful round so far. This is exactly what I'm talking about. One knockdown, but it's good. The time is good. Can he just complete this final section? And it looks good. Get over the last. Valentin, and congratulations. He knows it's a good round. Little punch of the air. One knockdown.
Results for
good
France
time.
from France. Time 1 minute 5 seconds. Obstacle penalties 40 points. Total points in the competition so far 3,296. You are now in first place.
Congratulations to
You
Valentin
must exit
Prade.
to
He
your
showed
left,
that it
to your
can be
right.
done. It was a beautifully controlled, very steadily ridden round. That, the singular knockdown, shaving one of the other fences. But it was a beautiful round. And it's going to be tough to beat. 10 more to go, but they will do very well to improve on the Frenchman's effort. And as we saw in the women's event, Margot Isaacson coming from well off the pace at the halfway stage to win, just 21 years old. We've seen that the youngsters aren't afraid. And they can win at the very highest level. Being 20, 21 is no obstacle to making your name in the modern pentathlon. 20-year-old Prade definitely got the ability, and having overcome two of his weaker events, he's in a fantastic situation as they head into the combined. So obviously a few delays on the warm-up grounds here in Rio. Not a problem though for the spectators. You couldn't wish for much better weather. And well, no mankinis as yet, but the briefs have been out. Next up, we expect to see the Latvian, Denis Čerkovskis. It's a busy day for the pentathletes. Of course, this whole competition used to be spread over the 5 days. Since the change of format now, things much more hectic for them. Bound to affect their performances, but of course it's a test of their abilities in a different way. Much less recovery time, and the difficulty, of course, in the combined, before they were able to do the running and the shooting separately, it's a challenge that has tested quite a few pentathletes, and there's a very good example of one of them. El Ghaziri there, one of those who's perhaps struggled more than some of the others to adapt to the combination. Last month's event, the leader going into the combined and struggling, faded away quite badly in the final round. Good to see some of the youngsters out watching as well, because as we saw with Margot Isaacson yesterday, we've got Joseph Evans today, and young Valentin Prada, that the younger they start, some of these athletes starting as young as, what, 13, 14 years old in modern pentathlon, the younger they start, as with many sports, the better the chance of them becoming a big success. So, a bit of a delay. Finally, though, we get the 10th place rider, Denis Cherkovskis of Latvia. 1 minute off the pace.
And now riding Cherkovskis from Latvia, riding Janone do Rincão.
Well, he's just been shown how it's done. Can he match the efforts of Prada? It's a nice start. Just nudging the horse along. Just encouraging the horse. A little apprehensive going into that one, but made it over, and this is looking very, very good. Cherkovskis, fantastic round so far. Time's good, he's on just about on track on the clock. He's making this look quite easy. This could be the first clear round we've seen in the top half. He's almost there, the time is good. Oh, clipped it. Recovered well. It's fantastic stuff. Come on, Denis, one more. And he's over. And he passed the horse. It is a job well done. And he knows just
1
that.
minute and 1 second. Riding points.
Could be extremely valuable now.
Total points so far 3,352. You are now in first place.
The military sports instructor from Latvia. 34 years old, a good all-rounder, and he's been at this for a long time, 20 years. Cherkovskis been in modern pentathlon, he's competed in 4 Olympic Games, and all the talk of the youngsters excelling in Rio this week. We've seen the benefit of some experience there. It was steady, and it was beautiful, and it was a clear round. Right, the big favourites arrived. Not performing to his ability so far. Can Alexander Lesun put in a performance to rescue his competition, because he's a lot further down the leaderboard than he's used to, and this is probably his weakest event. The defending champion. Looking to regain his title in Rio. And hot off the heels of a victory in Palm Springs last month. Oh, and he hit that hard, and how it stayed on, I'm not quite sure. But boy, did Lesun need that to stay on. Oh, and that was horrible. That was almost like a bird in flight. Landed on top of the fence. Oh, Lesun is fighting the horse, and a second and a third go down. It started well, but there was a moment there where the horse seemed completely lost as to whether it was going up or down. And now it's getting very ragged. He's hit another, that one stayed on. Alexander, he looks behind, but the damage really done already. 5 down, and there's number 6 and number 7. And quite frankly, this is horrible.
Lesun from Russia, riding time 1 minute 8 seconds. Obstacle penalties 280 points. Time penalties 4 points. Total points so far 3,088. You are now in 11th place.
Well, he's in 11th. It doesn't sound that bad, but the gap is big. And Alexander Lesun, the formidable Russian, the defending champion, the reigning world champion, defending Kremlin Cup champion, and a quite fantastic runner, brilliant in the combined, but might I suggest that this is a little bit too much even for him to take on when they head to the final event. Well, we've had the good and we've had the bad from Lesun there. Not quite the ugly as yet. We saw a couple of those in the women's yesterday. 3 of the riders failing to score any points whatsoever. A few refusals and a few fences that were totally demolished. It's not been quite that bad so far with the gents, but there's time. And ignore the scoreboard, that isn't Lesun, this is Ji Han of China in 8th place. Oh, and that was a very heavy connection. Took down a couple of poles there. Let's hope he can stop it from affecting the rest of the round. He's very fast, and he's clipped 2. And perhaps we saw from some of the earlier riders the benefits of just a little less speed and a little more control. Well, Ji Han is he's making a bit of mess of this. He's done well to get himself up to 8th place, and he is moving down the leaderboard faster than the scoreboard can keep control of this. He's got round in a very fast time, but that's because he went through most of the fences en route. Looks a little bit bewildered.
Kinderis from Lithuania, time 59 seconds. Obstacle penalties 360 points. Total points so far 3,036.
Well, Ji Han, you did a lot of good work to put yourself well up the leaderboard, but I'm afraid there's no coming back from that kind of performance. Justinas Kinderis next. Now this is the oldest competitor in the field in Rio, the Lithuanian, 35 years old, world number 12. He's a lawyer, and despite having such a long and, may I add, successful career, quite remarkably, Kinderis has never won a major competition. So consistent. Probably his best year back in 2010, 3rd in the World Championships, 4th in the Euros. A man who clearly has great ability in all the disciplines, but not perhaps that cutting edge on the day to take a title. Has always found somebody else 1 or 2 better for him. Well, this might just be an opportunity to end what has been a very long hoodoo. And he's taking his time in the build-up. Perhaps he understands the opportunity that lies in front of him.
And now riding Kinderis from Lithuania, riding Garimperu Hincão.
when you see the big names like the Russian having a bad day, perhaps you start to think maybe this will be my day. If experience counts for anything, we'll soon find out. Clear over the first three. This is where the experience needs to come into play. First knockdown, but it's still a good round if you can keep it at this. Marathon, not a sprint. Good, he's good, he's 2 downs, well 3 according to the score. I'm not sure if I saw the third, but it's a decent round and the time is good. 3 knockdowns, well ridden, sir.
Kinderis from Lithuania, time 1 minute 3 seconds. Obstacle penalties 160. Total points so far.
A few of those fences were clipped, and as we saw that one there, yeah, tumbling down off.
Correction, sorry. Kinderis from Lithuania, time 1 minute 3 seconds. Total obstacle penalties 200 points. Total points so far 3,196.
Well, there you go, not as good a ride as it seems.
Kinderis is now in 4th place. So far in the competition, we have Cherkovsky
them. They
from Latvia in first place,
finally
Prats
wobbling
from
out
France in second, Svoboda from Czech Republic in third, Kinderis from Lithuania in 4th, and Evans from Great Britain in 5th. And now riding, we have Marosi from Hungary riding Cinderella do Rincão.
Adam Marosi, and if memory serves me right, this horse served the Brazilian Priscilla Oliveira very well yesterday. I think Cinderella was one of the 2 clear rounds that we witnessed. So, the random draw of the horses has Lady Luck smiled on Adam Marosi today. So the Hungarian gets ready to begin. And Cinderella, I think indeed, is proving to be one of the better horses out there. Clipping them, but they seem to be staying on. Yeah, Marosi, clear so far. And well, we say it is a lottery, which horse you get. Nothing you can do about it. Marosi got one of the good ones, it seems. 1 knockdown, but that's pretty good so far. Of course, not just the horse has the say in this, all down to Marosi and how he controls Cinderella, but he seems to be doing a good job. Only a few to go now, comes into the final stretch. And to the final fence. Oh, and it's a second knockdown. The time's good, and that's a pretty good round from Adam Marosi
from Hungary. 1 minute 3 seconds. Obstacle penalties 80 points. Total points in the competition so far 3,328. You are in 2nd place.
2nd place for a man who doesn't need too many invitations to take a title. The world champion in 2009.
Now riding El Jazidi from Egypt.
And the World Cup final winner in 2009 and 2010. And finds himself right in the mix for another title here. And he's just been introduced, Amro El Ghaziri of Egypt, the man who was leading going into the combined in Palm Springs last month. And he's up there once again. And as I mentioned earlier, El Ghaziri, one of those athletes who's perhaps struggled since the change to the combined event of the running and the shooting. He's good on a horse usually. It's good riding. It is, it's fast and it's fluent. One of the few we've seen so far who's putting in good jumps and doing it at a very good pace as well. Well, there's no doubt about this. If he completes this round, this is the best we've seen so far, the most fluent for sure. Well, he hit that. I think it stayed on though, and if it has, he's just got one more to go. And there's a cheer. He punches the air. He knows
El Ghaziri
that was
from
a
Egypt,
great
time
ride.
1 minute. Riding points 1,200 points. Total points in the competition so far 3,428.
Yeah,
You
big
are now
smile,
in
and why not?
first
It was
place.
a brilliant ride, absolutely fantastic. Doctor, we should call him, because that's what he is, Dr. El Ghaziri. And it was a clinical performance. Fast, fluent, beautifully jumped. And that puts the 26-year-old, well, it does put him into probably the best position. He's probably going to be the leader as we head into the combined.
And now riding
barring
Behor
another
from
great
France.
performance from those who
Riding
remain.
Gavião do Rincão.
And Jean-Maxence Berru in 4th place, 3rd after the fencing, 6th in the swim. Puts him just outside the podium positions as things stand. Berru yet to claim a title. Usually there and thereabouts, 17th last month, 12th in the World Cup final. Oh, and that's horrible, just horrible, all wrong, and he's taken them down like 10 pins. Let's see it again. Where did it go wrong? The horse just decided it didn't want to. Berru tried to hold on. And it was as much the rider as it was the horse in the end, taking down the fence. And the horse just got to the point of takeoff, found itself a little close perhaps, and slammed on the brakes. And Berru doing well to avoid himself an injury there, hanging on. So no time penalties in the sense that the clock goes off now. And the assistants come out to rebuild the fence. He will, of course, get the 40 points for the knockdown. But as it stands, it's not a disaster if he can regain his wits and pick up the pace. As you see, just the 40 points down. And the horse reacting well. Taking no chances now. Berru's really giving them some air, but he's got too close. I think that was the failing earlier, and once again there, down go a 2nd and a 3rd fence. Oh, and so close again. He's just hanging on. It's a 4th down, and he's getting too tight to these fences, and the horse has lost its nerve. I think what we're seeing here is the horse has lost confidence in the rider. And will he want to go over another one? Oh, and he doesn't want to. He's ploughed through it. Berru, you have to give him something. He's hanging on. It's not been an attractive ride, but one thing that Berru can do is he's hanging on to the reins. And I think it's just finish at all costs now, get round. Oh, and down goes another. And in all honesty, that was not Jean-Maxence Berru's finest moment. And it's like he's on a booking
Behor from
bronco.
France, time 1 minute 26 seconds. Obstacle penalties 280 points. Time penalties 76 points. Total points so far 3,104.
And there we go.
You are in 14th place.
From 4th to outside the top dozen, and it's very hard to come back from a performance like that. As we said before, chances can be absolutely annihilated on the riding
course. And now
course.
riding Woodbridge from Great Britain, riding Laureado do Rincão.
Now, I don't want to jinx the chances of Nicholas Woodbridge, but I think even he would admit this isn't his strongest event. Let's hope he's got a good horse, though, because he's had a fantastic time so far today. 6th in the fencing, best in the swimming, a really fast swimmer, one of the few capable of going sub 2 minutes. But it's been a very testing time for the riders. Can Woodbridge get up for a big performance on a difficult day? Oh, and he looked hesitant going into that. I sense a lack of confidence between man and horse. But no one's asking him to put in a clear round, it's just a case of putting in a decent round. That's all he needs. But it's already 4 down, only halfway round the course. And I think we just saw a 5th go out of shot and a 6th, and this is what I was talking about. For somebody who finds this isn't their strongest event, when the course is playing difficult and perhaps not the best horse, things can get very difficult. Down goes another, 7 down. It's a good time, but the damage is done.
Woodbridge from Great Britain, time 1 minute. Obstacle penalties, 280 points. Total points in the competition so far, 3,192 points. You are in 7th place.
Well, it's playing out almost identical to the women's final yesterday. Very few clear rounds.
We would like to remind all coaches and all athletes that for the combined event, athletes must take their weapons in the locked case. The lock may not be removed.
Reminder there.
You may not remove the lock of the case of the weapons when going to the combined event.
The combined, of course, every competitor has their
own.
And
now riding Karyakin from Russia, riding Hermes
responsible for looking after
Rincão.
themselves. Now, Sergei Karyakin, what a fantastically talented performer, and he finds himself in a brilliant position in 2nd place. 2nd in the fencing, 4th in the swimming, puts him in silver position overall. And not lacking any confidence, the Russian. When asked to describe his favourite event, he says all of them. He's young, 24, he's got the confidence and he has the ability. Let's see, can he put in a performance to illustrate just how good he is, and I really do think he's this good. Very unlucky not to go to the Olympics. 4 extremely talented Russians, and Karyakin missed out with only 2 able to go to represent the country. Oh, that was very, very unattractive jump. I've given the big up, and Karyakin's not really doing me any favours here. 4 down, halfway round. Now this is better, this is more like it. And the second half of this ride, much improved. Clips it, stays on though. One more needed, and it's pretty. Oh well, spoke too soon. The 5th.
Karyakin from Russia, time 1 minute 8 seconds. Obstacle penalties, 280 points.
And in the end, it was
time
7, 280, and a few of these
total
poles
points
being
in the competition so far,
look to have stayed on, and they're just wobbling out of their supports.
You are now in
camera.
5th place.
So, another one struggles. Sergei Karyakin, possibly in one of the best positions he's ever found himself after the first 2 rounds, and what a day to put in one of his worst performances on horseback. And they're going down like dominoes in that combination. He's not alone though. There's been a lot of difficult rides today, a lot of below average performances.
From
and as
Hungary,
we saw in the women's, this is a very difficult course. Robert Kasser. What a fantastic opportunity on Limousine as he heads into the first, and he knocks it down. And we've seen that from so many riders, the first causing problems, which just sets them up for more difficulties later. And he hit that one quite hard as well. He looked behind, he knew he was going to hit it. Gosh, huge air going over that one. Really trying to pick the horse up. But it's not just about height, of course. Judging the distance for takeoff just as important, and getting too close, too far away, that's going to bring you a knockdown. Oh, and that's horrible! Oh, and they're both down! Totally misjudged. Took off from the wrong distance, and the horse went down on its front legs, and the rider toppled off her, and that could be nasty. It was a heavy fall for Robert Kasser. And he's not moving, and I hope there's some medical assistance on hand very shortly. Well, we've seen a few falls in the women's event, and this is the first we've seen in the men's, but it was a terrible, terrible fall. Caught the top pole, got its feet almost tangled under it, couldn't land properly, and well, Kasser never had a chance. Once the horse was going, he was too. Oh, and it's a big impact just on the turn, combination of shoulder and back there. And I think they've done the right thing here. The medical team have called for the stretcher. It was a jarring impact, largely on the back, and absolutely no sense in taking any chances. A few concerned looks from the spectators. Kasser is a master student in sports science. He'll know as well as anybody about sporting injuries and the importance of getting immediate treatment. We're going to face a delay now because, of course, Robert Kasser's well-being takes precedence now. Important to just be very careful with a fall like that. Difficult to know at this stage to what extent he could be injured. It's a terrible shame for the Hungarian as well, because he'd performed beautifully. Finished top at the fencing with a huge score, 1,072, courtesy of 28 victories from his 35 bouts. A fifth in the swimming, very good for him. He's a man who was really in good form, won the Hungarian indoors already this year in February. And it was looking like this could be his day, but, well, it just shows the importance of having luck on your side as well. He didn't do too much wrong, but the horse just got its feet in a bit of a mess. Couldn't plant them down for the landing, and Kasser, well, he was only ever going to end up on the ground alongside his mount. And the ambulance has very wisely been called for Robert Kasser, who we will not see continuing in this competition. Yes, and she looks concerned, and let's hope it's not that bad. Was able to move his legs a little after the impact, suggesting things maybe not too serious, but very early to tell at this point. And certainly you see friends, family and supporters extremely concerned about Robert Kasser. Well, let's wish him all the best and let's hope everything's okay there. Any fall from a horse is going to be a painful one and potentially very dangerous.
Start the combined event at 5:20. The combined will start at 5:20.
So that was the last performance from the riders, and with it being such a dramatic one and an injury to Robert Kasser, it takes us into the break now, where the athletes will go and prepare themselves for the final event in this men's final, the combined, which will get underway, as we just heard, in a few minutes' time. One good thing to come out of that, it was good to see that the medical staff, the emergency team there, were on the ball very, very quickly out to help the Hungarian. Well, let's take a look at how things stand on the leaderboard, and it's El Ghaziri in the same position we saw him 1 month ago in Palm Springs, in first place after an amazing ride, perfect round from the Egyptian. Same from Denis Cherkovskis. The 2 clear rounds, just like in the ladies, and so valuable. Adam Maroshi in 3rd place, in very close contention. Looking further down, Beru down to 15th after a horrible ride for the Frenchman. Alexander Lassoon, well, he's very good, but I don't think he's 1:25 good when it comes to the combined. And for these guys here on in, they're going to need something to go very wrong with the leaders. And Robert Kasser there, unable to complete the course, being last out of the 36, well, the least of his concerns now. We wish him all the very best and hope that there's no harm done as he is off for treatment. and welcome to stage 2 of this year's Modern Pentathlon World Cup Series, which has brought us to the Samba City, the carnival capital of the world, Rio de Janeiro in Brazil. Today it's the turn of the men to compete in the final. 3 events already completed, just the combined to go. Let's bring you up to date with the action so far and what has been a very eventful day. So we'll start on the piste. Remember, 36 competitors, that's 35 one-minute bouts. The first hit takes the victory. No successful hits, it's a defeat for both competitors. And plenty of the athletes consider this their strongest event. Of course, there can only be one winner. Lots of competition. Here's Adam Maroshi, who's always amongst the fancied athletes to get on the podium. And the Hungarian putting in a good performance in the first event. 20 victories, good enough for 6th place. And a very relaxed and, might I say, confident-looking David Svoboda, reigning Olympic champion. The Czech, getting 18 victories, probably par for the course by his standards. 13th place in the fencing, so many abilities, no reason for him to worry. Not like Alexander Lassoon, he looks very displeased because by his standards this wasn't a great performance. The world number 1 expects a lot from himself in the fencing. He is an artisan fencer, but for him this was disappointing. 20 victories, good for most, not for him. 6th place for the Russian, and sees him further off the pace than he's used to after the opening event. Ilya Frolov, his compatriot. And Frolov, 18 victories again. Steady stuff, enough for 13th place and 832 points. A confident look from a very talented man, Sergei Karyakin. What a strong showing from the Russians here in Rio. Karyakin, a great believer in his own abilities, and on this occasion proving why. 25 victories, a handsome total for Sergei Karyakin, giving him 2nd place in the fencing. Jean-Maxence Barou, the French pentathlete, a handy fencer, improving it with 22 victories. Very excitable as well, enjoying each and every one of those wins. Good enough to give him 3rd place and 928 points. Mikhail Mitzik, European junior champion going back 5 seasons. And it took the Belarusian 9th place, thanks to 19 victories. And finds himself also in contention. But there would be others who would do better. Justinas Kinderis, the Lithuanian, in joint 3rd position with 22 victories. Seasoned campaigner and a good all-rounder. And in a good position after the fencing. But this was the man who surpassed everybody else, Robert Kassa. Another Hungarian. And what a performance. 28 victories, almost as good as it gets. And more than enough for 1st place to make him the leader as they head towards the pool. Plenty of encouragement for Kassa. And good riposte, and takes the victory. He's the leader after round 1.
Emotions, of course, there's a lot of emotions because if you fence good, it's a good taste in your mouth. And you know, it was very hard today, but actually every fight I took some ice in my head. I'm so wet, and I just did my best.
Well, the best was certainly good enough. Casser just explaining there how much effort goes into achieving top spots. Lots of very talented fencers and total commitment required. David Svoboda in 13th place, Olympic champion, still in contention. These are the athletes with a bit to make up. Joseph Evans, third last month in Palm Springs, down in 32nd place. And a surprise to see the young Brit so far off the leaders. But as we will see, plenty of time for those kind of deficits to be made up. And the opportunity would come very quickly as they headed on to the second event of 4 on the day, and the swimming, the 200 metres freestyle. And we'll go straight to heat number 4. Where we would see the world number 1 in action. Alexander Lesun, the confident Russian Sergei Keryakin, and the leader Robert Kasser, all swimming together. And it's Keryakin who come out ahead of the 3 in a personal best time. Just a second ahead of Kasser, new personal record, just over 2 minutes. Lesun unable to keep pace. 2:05, 14th for the world number 1 in the swimming.
Lane 6.
And these are the best of all the swimmers in the final heat. Nicholas Woodbridge, the Brit. Joseph Evans, as we mentioned, off the pace, but a good swimmer. And Jean Beru, the Frenchman. So 3rd and 6th from the fencing in the pool here. And it's Woodbridge who'd have the fastest time of the day, 1 minute 57. Very few people go under 2 minutes. Woodbridge, though, one of the few who could do it. Fantastic time. Beru 6th quickest in 2:02, and very pleased
today.
With that.
For the moment, it's very good because fencing is very difficult for me. But today I did a good fencing. I have a good feeling. It's the same in the swimming. Yesterday I swam in Ipanema in the waves, and I think it's good for me.
So a trick of the trade there from Jean Beru. Swimming in the canal helping him in the pool, and good enough to put him in 4th place overall after the first 2 events. Robert Kasser, the leader. Sergei Keryakin in 2nd, Woodbridge 3rd, moving down the field. And Joseph Evans improving his position from 32nd up to 25th. Perhaps still time for the young Brits to get himself back into this competition. And on to the 3rd event now, the riding. And once again, just like yesterday in the women's final, we saw rider after rider struggle. And I think at this stage we'd only seen the one clear round from Denis Tchaikovskis. But this was the turn of Amro El Ghaziri, the Egyptian. Could he become one of the very few to put in a good performance in the riding? And it was a good start. Certainly looking in control. And judging that combination nicely. El Ghaziri, the doctor, and that clinical nature showing here, measuring the jumps to perfection. The time was good and the jumping was just as good. Coming to the last, and that was enough for a clear round, which we'd hardly seen. And El Ghaziri
from Egypt, time 1 minute, riding points 1,200 points. Total points in the competition so far 3,428. You are now in 1st place.
And he knows that he could find himself, just as he did a month ago in Palm Springs, heading to the combined in top spot. And no doubt that was the best ride that we'd seen that point in the event. Of course, still a few more riders to go. 4 more with the
And
opportunity
now
to try
riding
and match
Berro
his
from
achievements.
France, riding Gavião do Rincão.
And 4th place, Jean-Maxence Barou would get the chance to try and match that very impressive round from El Ghaziri. The beauty of the riding section, no way to gain points, just try not to lose them as they slip away from you with every pole that goes down. Exercise in damage limitation. El Ghaziri though proving that a good round could be done. Oh, but not for Barou. And the horse got a little close to that one and slammed on the brakes. Barou was the last one to know about it though. Tumbled forward and really did well to hang on. Lots of air over that one. None at all there. The brakes come on and Barou, well, how did he stay on? Important for him that he did though. And the domino effect there, catching the bottom pole and the rest come down. So the clock goes off while the fence is rebuilt. Just the one penalty, 40 points, and at this stage, time to gather his thoughts while the fence was put back together again and, well, stop this from going from bad to worse. And this is good, a good correction from Barou. Still in with a chance of a good round, giving it some air, but getting into a little mess there and catching 2 in a row. Oh, and again far too close, and somehow he stayed on, and it comes to a grinding halt. Hard to get the speed up now for the next fence, and indeed there wasn't enough ground or enough time to get the momentum. It has to circle round. Another 40 points for the refusal. Oh, that's another very ugly one. And, well, he's almost stuck on with glue. How Barou has kept himself on the horse is, well, it's your guess is as good as mine. He's a tenacious little character. And clips that one. Makes it round in one piece, but the damage to be seen in the penalties, 7 of them altogether. 280
Berro from France, time 1 minute 26 seconds. Obstacle penalties 280 points. Time penalties 76 points. Total points so far 3,104. You are in 14th place.
And in a matter of just about a minute and a half, we see Jean-Maxence Barou go from 4th down to 14th, and that's how quickly it can happen.
And now riding Woodbridge from Great Britain, riding Laureado do Rincão.
And it must be very difficult for someone like Nicholas Woodbridge, who probably admit it's not his best event. They're riding a fantastic swimmer, put in a sub-2 minute performance. And he trots his way down to the course and he sees Barou before him struggling badly, hardly likely to instill him with great confidence as he approaches, for him, a really important round. Not often he gets himself this high at the leaderboard after 2 events, really needs to take advantage of a rare opportunity. There's a heavy contact. Top and second poles going down. Oh, and again, it's a heavy contact and down go another couple there. 4 down already and still half the course to go. And down goes a 5th, and you don't have to be a specialist rider to be a good modern pentathlete, but you can't afford to be a bad one. Not that Woodbridge is, but this was a difficult course, and this is where the difference between the good and the OK riders becomes
Woodbridge
much
from
more
Great Britain,
obvious.
time 1 minute. Obstacle penalties, 280 points. Total points in the competition so far, 3,192 points. You are in 7th place.
But so good was the performance of Woodbridge in the pool that even after a pretty poor round like that, he finds himself in 7th place and very much in the hunt.
We would like to remind all coaches and all athletes that for the combined event, athletes must take their weapons in the locked case.
So
the lock may not be removed.
With just the two
you may not remove the lock of the case of the weapons when going to the combined event.
Entering the arena, Sergei Karyakin, a man
and now riding Karyakin
nothing
from Russia, riding Hermes do Rincão.
Karyakin says all the events are his favourite event, has great self-belief. And he has every right to believe in himself because his results, well, they back up that kind of belief. A world champion in 2010, a world junior champion a couple of years earlier than that. Very, very talented pentathlete. 4th in the World Cup final last year. What an opportunity for him to put himself in position for another title. And a little messy going into that fence. 2 knockdowns and a 3rd, and looking a little bit ragged now. A 4th goes and a 5th, and they're racking up now halfway round, and already 200 points down, and you see the name slipping down the leaderboard from 2nd to 4th, but the margin a minute from the top of the leaderboard now, and another one has gone. And each time you see a pole go down, you'll see Karyakin move another 10 seconds away from the leader. Unusual to see a
Karyakin
man
from
of his
Russia,
ability
time 1 minute 8
8
seconds. Obstacle penalties, 280 points.
Still got
time
some time
penalties,
for the horse,
4
though,
points.
not blaming
Total points in the competition
mount.
so far, 3,268. You are now in 5th place.
And once again, it's a very poor ride, but such has been the difficulty for all of the riders today that Karyakin in 5th place. And just like in the ladies yesterday when we saw just the 2 clear rounds, we've seen today Denise
And now
Jetkovskis,
riding
Amro
Kassa from
El-Ghaziri
Hungary,
with clear
riding
rounds
Limousine do
and
Rincão.
catapulting themselves up the leaderboard. And will it be? We're just seeing a glimpse of the leaderboard from yesterday. Margot Isaacson with one of those 2 clear rounds and went on to take the gold. Will it be the same today? And can Robert Kassa, who's been impeccable so far, maintain top spot? It won't be a clear round, he's already knocked the 1st. And there goes another, but probably 3 or 4 knockdowns would be around par for the course today. We'd see Kassa right up there. There goes the 3rd. He's gone for the speed approach. He's attacking the fences. He's losing a few of the posts, but he's going into them aggressively. Oh, and was it too aggressively? He got in close to that. The horse caught its feet and Kassa's down, and he's gone down badly.
Solicitamos a presença da equipe médica na
and that's a bad fall. Casa isn't moving too much, and let's hope they get the medical assistance out there quickly. Well, the staff are onto the course to help him quite quickly. And it's a good thing as well, because this was a very heavy contact. As you see, probably took off too early, hits the top post, and the horse's feet caught underneath it. Casa never had a chance from there on in. The horse was going down, and inevitably, so was Casa too, over the top. If there was any good luck there, it was that the horse went down first, wasn't able to roll over him, which really would have been a nightmare scenario. But a heavy contact on his back, and he's staying down, possibly precautionary, but it's the right thing to do as the medical staff come on and the ambulance has been called for. So Robert Casa unable to complete his ride, and that'll be the end of his competition. More important for him though now, just making sure that there's no lasting damage, and it's Amro El Ghaziri with one of the rare clear rounds who tops the leaderboard. So a very eventful and dramatic and incident-packed 3 events so far as we look down the leaderboard. Alexander Lassoon, well, you'd think that's too much for him to come back from. A brilliant runner, but 1 minute 25 is an awful lot to make up if you look at the quality of some of the athletes above him. And looking further down, well, probably no way back for some of these athletes. Dramatic day for the spectators, and indeed the president of the International Federation of Modern Pentathlon, Klaus Scholzmann, who was in attention watching the proceedings. And terrible fall for Robert Casa. The show must go on, of course, and as we see here, the athletes preparing for the final and decisive event of the day, the combined. They will partake in 4 rounds of shooting, but they will be required to hit 5 targets successfully, light them up green. And here is Klaus Scholzmann, president of the International Federation.
Everything. Like last year when we started with the World Cup, now the next World Cup in preparation of the Rio 2016 Olympic Games. First of all, we have to say very well organized in a place where we will have as well the Olympic Games in Devobodo. And we are, let's say, in good mood when we see how the organizing committee has increased with the referees, with all the whole infrastructure is becoming better and better, and that's what we want to have, to train the people so that in also the next World Cup in coming year we are, let's say, on the high level at the end when we are going to the Olympic Games 2016. And so therefore I'm quite satisfied so far.
So the president of the International Federation there expressing his satisfaction with the way things are going. Pleased to see that it's been a good performance by the organisers so far in Rio. And the warm-up continues, not long to go now till the start of the combined. We saw Adam Marosi there, the Hungarian, in 3rd place. It's going to be a 19-second lead for the first athlete away, who will be Amro El Ghaziri. First away, exactly as he was 1 month ago in Palm Springs when he couldn't hang on. And will that experience be of any use to him here? El Ghaziri, #1 athlete, goes to the corresponding #1 shooting position. And well, he really did struggle a month ago. Can he keep things together better this time round? Well, it's a good performance, 11 seconds, that's a good time to light up the 5 targets. And here's the other man who had a clear round on horseback, Tchaikovskis. And Maroshi's caught up with him already. And here come the rest. They're fairly bunched together now within a minute of the leader. Tchaikovskis and Maroshi away together in 2nd and 3rd. The Frenchman, Prada, in 4th, lighting them up. And Sergei Karyakin there in 5th. And well, did that poor performance on horse knock his substantial confidence? Olympic champion Svoboda completes his first shoots, and it's back to the leader. Amro El Ghaziri looks calm, looks relaxed, keeping a steady pace. He really faded in Palm Springs. It was a similar situation, but then he had the big names breathing down his neck, in particular the man who would go on to win it, Alexander Lesoon, who isn't in contention at the moment. And there are the rivals in 2nd and 3rd. Marosi just moving past Denis Tchaikovskis, the Latvian. So Maroshi picking up the pace, and he has got El Ghaziri in his sight, and he'll know that he can be caught. And Prada, the Frenchman, he's still in with a good chance in 4th. Bit of a gap now to Karyakin.
His first lap, we have El Ghaziri from Egypt. Chegando agora para completar a primeira volta, El Ghaziri do Egito.
So El Ghaziri on his first lap of 800 metres cross country, and approaches the shooting station for his 2nd round with the laser pistol. The advantage 19 seconds. So it's exactly as it was at the beginning. Now, this was the point at which it started to go slightly awry for the Egyptian a month ago, and it looks like the same might be happening again. And this gap is coming down, and it's almost gone. Maroshi, he's outperforming him with the pistol, and El Ghaziri, it's deja vu. Is this in the back of his mind because he's watched his lead evaporate? And Maroshi's away. 14 seconds faster than El Ghaziri. It's deja vu for the Egyptian, and it must be a horrible experience. Tchaikovskis away in 3rd. Prada still right up there. One more for him, and he's away in 18 seconds. And Karyakin, if he can get this one quickly, he's still in the hunt. 2 more rounds of shooting still to go, and it can all change. And the Briton Joseph Evans, well, down in 32nd after 2 events, and away in a very smart 14-second shoot. But it's now a good lead for Adam Maroshi, one of the favourites coming into this. The 28-year-old, who was 2nd last month in Palm Springs. And now he's very nicely positioned to go one better. One of the favourites because, well, he does He does what's needed year in, year out. Third at the Olympics on the podium in 2012, third at the World Championships in 2011. A winner. He knows how to take top spot at the World Championships in 2009. And the margin is growing. Having seen El Ghaziri fade away in the last World Cup Series event, you suspect at this point that he won't have what it takes to recover. But what about third and fourth and fifth? Still chances there. Cherkovskis, he's keeping pace, 11 seconds behind, and that could evaporate very quickly in a turnaround at the shooting range. Prada just the 18 seconds behind. And visibly now, I think we're seeing Denis Cherkovskis gaining on the leader. He goes past El Ghaziri. And Prada making ground, and I don't think it will be too long before he moves into third. So Maroshi, well, you'd make him a strong favourite right now, but this is by no means done and dusted. Maroshi will be trying to control the breathing, trying to control the heartbeat and make this a steady, fluent shoot. Steady the hand. Anything around that will do. 14.7 seconds is good. It's a good time. And it's just what he needed. And Cherkovskis is away. Even better though, it's 10.71. And he is going to make this an exciting finale. El Ghaziri, deja vu, suffering exactly the same fate he did in Palm Springs. Can't help but feel sorry for him, and he's about to be passed by Prada. And it was solid stuff from Adam Maroshi, but little did he know that Denis Cherkovskis is going even better. Gained 4 seconds on that shoot. Well, how long until we see second place appear round that corner? It's 10 seconds the gap, and there he is. The Latvian has got Maroshi in his sights now, but does he have the speed and has he got the stamina to close that gap? Only one more round of shooting to go. This 800-metre circuit and another will take them to the finish. What a Cherkovskis got in the tank. And as I suspected, Prada moves into third. Ghaziri fading. Second and third in shot there. El Ghaziri down to fourth, and it's a fair gap to fifth now. Sergei Kiryakin looks to be picking up the pace there, though. Maybe still a chance for the Russian to make it onto the podium. And Maroshi, well, he's a very talented runner, and he's an experienced athlete, and he's holding Denis Cherkovskis at bay. The margin just altering by a second over this 800 metres, which suggests that it could all come down to the shoot. Well, he just takes a second to catch his breath. He knows how important this is. It's going to be all down to this shoot. Hits the first target and the second. It's a great start. And the third. This is perfection so far. And Adam Maroshi, it's a perfect shoot. You can't do any better than that. He gets applause and he deserves it, and he's away on his final 800 metres. And now you suspect the battle is on for second. Denis Cherkovskis just ahead of Valentin Prada of France. And the Latvians away. And Sergei Kiryakin is looking to make ground. Prada away in third. Poor old El Ghaziri just watching himself slip down, really struggling on the shooting. and proving extremely costly. And another of the Russians up there, Ilya Frolov, making his way up the leaderboard. But think about Adam Maroshi, because that shoot, well, it should be enough to see him take the gold. It's extended his lead over Cherkovskis to 17 seconds, and barring a fall, which shouldn't really happen, it's very difficult to see anything stopping Adam Maroshi now from taking the Rio de Janeiro title. And I think Cherkovskis knows it, because he's looking behind him to see how much of a margin does he have over third. And the answer is enough. Prada doing the same. Looks like we're looking at the podium positions now. Prada's looking to see if he can hang on to third, and he should. Because they're coming into what's probably now the last 200 metres. And I think Valentin Prada has resigned himself to third. He's a little celebration there from Prada. He understands that third place should be his. And there's no catching Adam Maroshi now. 12 seconds clear, and a man of his experience will not throw that away. And there's the smile. Adam Maroshi has a tattoo of the AC/DC guitarist on his leg to give him power, and well, if it does, it worked. He powers his way over the line and takes the gold medal. Victory to Hungary's Adam Maroshi in stage 2 of the World Cup Series in Rio de Janeiro, and he accepts the congratulations of Denis Cherkovskis of Latvia, who takes the silver, and a very happy third place athlete, Valentin Prada of France. Good burst there from Sergei Karyakin to take fourth. El Ghaziri once again missing out on the podium. Very sad time for him, because he does so much good work in the first 3 events, but just doesn't have the pace to keep up with the top contenders over the cross country. The shooting there probably his biggest Achilles heel, and costing him once again. So Adam Maroshi, we know he's good. Second a month ago, and he's gone one better this time in Rio. And he wants to let the world know.
Impact on you before this stuff. It was crazy, because when I finished the horse riding, I was there, and the Hungarian team said it's too fast, and it was a terrible moment, and we are so sorry. We are so sorry about it.
During combine, no problems for you, but it seems easy job.
The competition is absolutely not easy. It's not easy, but okay, I have 10 or 15 seconds handicap, but this is the Pentathlon, and I won again, and it's so good, but I'm sorry. I'm so sorry about it.
A devotion of this victory to Robert, I suppose, or no?
I think yes. Yes.
Thank you. Congratulations.
Well, I think you have to pay your respects there to a class act. Adam Maroshi of Hungary. This victory will have meant a lot to him, you can see that, but more importantly, he took the opportunity to show his concern for his compatriot and his teammate, Robert Kassa, who was leading after 2 events and took that very nasty fall in the riding arena. And whilst victory means an awful lot to these athletes, it's difficult to explain just how much training and how much sacrifice goes into being a world-class pentathlete. But it isn't be-all and end-all when it comes to injuries like we saw Kassa sustain in a very heavy tumble. So a class act and a quality performer. Adam Maroshi kept the steady hand and the keen eye on the shooting range. Did what he needed to over the cross-country. Good pace, but it was the shooting range that proved decisive, I feel. And in the end, well, if not a cancer, it was a walk over the line for Adam Maroshi, who adds another victory to his already very impressive modern pentathlon CV. A World Cup final winner on 2 occasions and a world champion. Took a bronze in the Olympics, and it's another World Cup Series victory for him. And we said it would be a very important ride, and so it turned out, because Maroshi's 2 penalties proving one of the better rounds, as indeed Tchaikovsky's clear round, and they found themselves on the podium. Valentin Prada, just the one knockdown, another one, benefiting from the difficulties of other in the riding. Looking down the leaderboard, Nicholas Woodbridge, who put in that sub-2 minute swim, brilliant in the pool, but it's an all-rounders game, and he struggled in the riding, down in 16th. And well, you might want to blink, because it's not often you'll see the world #1, Alexander Lesun, down in 27th place, and I suspect that maybe he just lost heart after a disappointing day for him, because he's such a good athlete in the combined. Yeah, not often you'll see Lesun put in a slow run, but probably he even knew himself that there was no way he was going to catch the likes of Adam Maroshi, who takes top position on the podium.